Good afternoon or good morning, whatever time it is in your time zone, everyone, from One Woman's Voice. And today I'm excited to have Hayley Gray with me. Thank you so much, Hayley, for joining us today. There's a lot of exciting things going on in your world, isn't there?
Yeah, it's always lots of pieces and parts moving, and I think I like to stir up batshit crazy just for fun.
Well, there is, we do see a lot going on.
Yeah,
Um,
just a little bit.
I,
Mhm.
I know that you've got, we didn't talk about this. I know you've got something going on at the end of this week. Would you like to talk about that first? Tell us about what you're doing.
So we do roundtables in Women's Entrepreneur Network as part of the networking, and they are a short formatted networking event. They're an hour long. We do them 3 times a month, most months, except for December. We're only doing it twice this month. But what we're doing is really giving women the opportunity to connect and start to forge relationships. Now, one of the things people think is, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to do a 30-second introduction. Because of the way that we format the meeting, we don't actually require a 30-second introduction. And here's why. Most people, when they start to hear that 30-second introduction, just phase out.
Yeah.
And because we're doing an online format, I know that I've lost 3/4 of my audience the second that people start doing that 30-second introduction, right? If your only goal to go to a networking meeting is to go and introduce yourself to everybody, this is maybe not the event for you. Because here's the thing. If you're just going and introducing yourself and running that 30-second pitch, you're just pitching people. It's like going to an in-person networking meeting and walking around the room and handing everybody your business card.
Yes, I do see
And
that. Excuse me, I do see that now and then. It is all about interacting, isn't it? And starting those relationships.
it is. And that's the goal with these roundtables is relationships. So we do 3 breakout rooms. We usually have a co-host with me, but we always have topics that we have you discuss. So we have a range of topics, mostly that pertain to women in business. And, we get conversations started. And the goal during that time is for you to book meetings from the meeting and then come back to the next meeting and make more appointments because we typically have 30 to 40 people at most of these networking meetings. So it's a lot of fun. And then what we do is we do these 3 breakout rooms. We give you a little bit of something to think about. We encourage you to connect with each other. And by the end of the meeting, hopefully you're walking out of there with 2 or 3 quality connections with like-minded business owners of people that you really want to take another step in the relationship with. Because, I know you do the LinkedIn local stuff, and I know that you've done in-person networking and you've done a ton of online networking and One Woman's Voice and all of that. And at the end of the day, your net worth is your network.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's something that you do need to extend out. You can't just
Mhm.
keep a very close core. It's nice to have core people that you connect with, but you do have to expand as you go along. So coming along to different networking meetings, but also coming back to them is the key to extending it all. I have to admit, I have got many lovely friends out of your networking events and the introductions that you've given me. And
Mhm.
they span back to, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe 8 years. And
Yeah.
we're still talking to each other.
Funny how that happens, right? You start to build those relationships, and that's the foundation of life and of business.
Mm.
And just having somebody that you can call and say, hey, this thing went sideways. Have you ever seen this? Um, is so incredibly powerful. Like recently, I was sharing that we have some new tax forms that we have to file here in the United States.
All right.
And it is a new requirement from the IRS. And if you don't file the BOI paperwork, you're going to get fined almost $600 a day. It's like $591 a day, which is $200,000 a year for failing to file a piece of paperwork. And most people don't even realize that this thing is out there and that it could get them and that it's a problem. And, I've started sharing that, and people are like, "Oh, is this real?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. If you're seeing me post it, it is absolutely real. If I'm sharing it, I've usually done some checking it out and made sure it's not a scam. Make sure you're doing these things."
We just had a tiny little bit of a blip there with your internet, with
Uh,
our our internet connection. So I missed that last sentence. But
well, I mean,
we've
it's
got,
those relationships, right? And
yeah,
connections, and knowing that it's a trusted source.
yes, yes. And I must admit, I go to a meeting, a networking meeting, one online, one face to face. We've been meeting each other fortnightly now for 10 years.
Mhm.
However, a lot of the meetings isn't about getting to know people. It's about sorting out problems. No, we do. Has anybody got a problem? And or somebody will say, I've had a really stressful time this last fortnight, and I haven't really dealt with it well, or I haven't known how to deal with it. Can we put forward some ideas? And the whole group pitches in. These are well established businesses of 20 years or more, and there's always somebody that's got the answer that
Mhm.
maybe you haven't thought of. So yes, building those relationships is incredibly important, but also to new businesses as well.
Right. Absolutely. And, we forget sometimes as business owners, we get super busy, and how important those relationships really are to our survival.
Yes, it is all about being seen and the connections that we make in
Mhm.
business, really, isn't it? Along the
Yeah,
way.
absolutely.
You have got a lot going on next year, I believe, as well, not on top of Women's Entrepreneur Network and
Mhm.
everything else that you're doing, but you're also doing something else, aren't you, that you're creating in the background?
I'm creating all kinds of crazy things in the background. So I'm doing an AI summit in
Are
January,
you?
and we are going to be talking about leveraging AI for small business and in business. And we've got some amazing high level technical people and founders that are going to be speaking on that summit and talking about leveraging AI in your business. So that's one. We have 4 summits in 2025 for Women's Entrepreneur Network. Um, so things I can publicly talk about. I have books coming out.
Oh,
And then we are working on, all kinds of fun things on the back end in my business, rolling out different programs and product offerings, and really working on supporting business owners and giving them every single chance of success in their business. This is a passion project for me. Yes, I have to make a living. Yes, it is a business. And I know that, doing things for me the right way, ethically, making business make sense is super important to me, and sharing, how to make things make sense rather than just wishing and hoping on a prayer that it all works out.
yes, and we've just touched very briefly on websites and the amount of
Mhm.
support that you give your clients. Now, I was actually staggered by the amount that you give after sales, after the design has gone through and it's been published. Can you explain a
Right.
little bit more to me again about the support that you give your clients after the
Right.
publication?
So we don't just develop websites, we do a ton of websites, but we also do ongoing maintenance, and we do ads management for clients. So that means that we're updating the website when we are doing a ton of ads management, because we've got to see what's converting and what's not converting. And then the other thing too is that we do ongoing SEO and social media management for clients, because right now and always Google has wanted to see high quality content on a website and regular updates. And if you are not regularly updating your website, your social media, your information, your Google My Business, then what ends up happening is you get penalized
Yeah,
by Google and by other search engines for not having up to date and current information. So we do
yes.
um, an on site SEO package, and we do 4 blog posts a month, and we do daily social media posts with a focus around those blog posts. And that really helps people build their SEO because we're using the right keywords and we do keyword research and it's intentional.
Yes,
um, we have this duality of purpose towards both building SEO and trying for engagement and clients on your social media. So we're really trying to walk the tightrope and get you the best of all worlds with your social media. And I mean, and I think it's worth noting like that we have different objectives with social media. So not every post is necessarily going to get the best reach, but it might be an excellent post for SEO.
yeah.
And we're working on that, understanding where those limitations are and really leveraging and getting every single thing that we can out of it.
It's a dream, to be honest, for a client because it ticks all the boxes that a lot of
Mhm.
clients, their skills aren't that. Their skills are for their business and the services that they provide. But the marketing side is where they start to glaze over, and having that hands held, as it were, with
Mhm.
you, it is a godsend, to be honest, because they just don't understand how it works and how the algorithms work and how they change all the time, and trying to keep up with it's a big ask for every business owner.
Well, and then the other thing too is, if you are not a writer and you are not comfortable on video and you are not comfortable doing all these things and you're already busy 24/7, should you really be creating all of this content and doing all this stuff out on your social media? And I would argue in general, if you are a profitable business and you're already making forward progress, no, you probably shouldn't be. Now, I mean, if you are still in the baby infancy beginner stages, I would maybe argue that there's better ways to spend your time and money, going out and getting clients first before spending a ton of money. But once you've
Yeah,
got clients, you do need that online presence. You need online reviews. You need to be working consistently on SEO and you do need to be working on social media because when somebody sees your ad, if you're doing paid advertising, they're going to go and they're going to look at your social media and they're going to Google you online and they're going to be looking at reviews
yes,
and what shows
absolutely.
up.
And if you don't show up, you're invisible, aren't you? And they start questioning your credibility.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're talking, we're talking the same language, aren't we?
Yeah. And I mean, and one of the things that really frustrates me a lot too, that I've seen people do is, and I'm actually dealing with this with a couple of clients where their former advertising person wasn't using landing pages on their own domain and not on their own website. So they inadvertently managed to boost the ranking and the SEO of the secondary website over and above the main website.
Yes,
Um, so your secondary website is not your primary domain, and that's not necessarily how you want people to find you, but then that's, getting ranked higher in your Google search
yes,
than your primary
yes,
domain. I've seen that happen so many times lately. And as a somebody who's doing ads and somebody who's doing strategy, that's an important thing. So like when you start doing all of these pieces and parts, yes, landing pages and tracking phone numbers and all those things are important, but you have to be careful to give Google and Bing and all the search engines the right signals so that you're not really messing yourself up in the long run.
and that is it, isn't it? It is thinking about the long-term impact all the time and
Yeah,
the repercussions that you've got going along the way.
right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And, marketing, I would say a lot of people really want the big, bright, shiny things.
yeah,
I do some bright, shiny things where I'm doing a pretty website. But I will say that the website by itself is just such a tiny little teeny piece of the puzzle. And if you're looking at overall like lead generation and closing as many people as possible, the website is just this teeny tiny piece.
tiny.
A lot of it is in your back end automations. It's in proper implementation of a CRM. It is in writing really good sales copy for your follow up emails and having all of that on tap in your CRM and maybe even automating all of it. So it's not just about generating leads, but it's about what do you do with leads and making sure you're generating the right leads so that you're not chasing 900,000 leads that are no good.
Yes. I do think that people think that the website is the biggest thing, and once it's done and completed, they can just walk away from it. But it isn't. It's a tiny
Yeah.
bit, and it all feeds in, doesn't it? And it is
Yeah.
like a jigsaw puzzle. There's no doubt about it.
And a lot of times I see, coaches especially and other business owners get into doing their website way too early in their business before they're even making sales. So they don't have all their messaging nailed down, they don't have all their branding nailed. And so I've seen people go hopping from one website to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, one logo to the next, one message to the next. That ends
Yeah.
up chewing a lot of dollars. It's a
Yes.
lot of dollars. It's a lot of money wasted rather than focusing on getting sales and then setting a really good foundation, setting a really good CRM, and making sure that you're doing all of the pieces. And this isn't so much about being revolutionary as find a gap, fix a gap, find a gap, fix a gap, keep going and keep moving. And understand that it's not all built in a day.
Oh, no.
And that you might get to 3 million a year in sales and realize that you don't have a full functioning proper CRM in place and that you still need to be focusing on SEO and that you still need to be focusing on building out your CRM and all of your automations. And then you need to tweak them. And then you need to be looking at what are your ads doing and what platforms are actually performing rather than trying to produce, 1 million ads on Meta this week and Meta is not doing well. You've got to be diversified. And it's a whole strategy and making sure that you're covering all of your bases and closing the gaps one by one.
It is one by one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing, yes, it's good to see the bigger picture. However,
Yeah.
just take a bit at a time, fix it, move on. Take the next bit, fix it, move on. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I still go in and check my links, and now and then I still find broken links. I've done nothing. I've gone back a month later, something's changed, and the links are broken. And that's nothing to do with what we've done. It's to do with something that's happened around, some sort of change that's going on. And it's always wise just to check everything just now and then on a semi-regular basis.
Well, and you've got to go in, update your website, go in, look at
Oh,
all of your social media,
oh, it's a
accounts, make
lot.
sure that they're actually displaying correctly.
Mm.
And sometimes people think I'm kidding when I say Facebook can and does, LinkedIn can and does, Google can and does change the rules out from underneath you, and they do
Oh,
not tell anybody. And how do we find everything is just broken? How do we
yeah,
find out? We find out at the exact same time you do, sometimes a little before, but we find out because everything just broke.
yes, that's it. Hayley, thank you very much. There's so much information packed into these. I don't know how many, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is, for business owners in general, but also of different sizes. And I hope that people come along to your networking. How can we encourage people to come along? Are you able to give us a link to pop in underneath this video?
Yep. Women's Entrepreneur Network.org or .biz, and there is a link to the calendar to register.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now then. Well, thank you very much, Hayley. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming along. I gather you're preparing in a big way for Christmas. All the children are coming home.
We will have children home. We may be celebrating Christmas a day or two off just because of work schedules. But yeah, we are hot and heavy preparing for Christmas and tamales and all the things.
Lovely. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And I will
Thank
stop the
you.
recording now, but thank you very much indeed.